through some training, but also go back into that community and to regain their trust.
Critics wanted him fired, but the Fort Worth police chief says the officer in a controversial arrest video should get another chance after a 10-day suspension. Shouldn't get another chance. So a grand jury has yet to rule on the case, which sparked protest again last night. Attorney Yodit Telwade is here to talk about the legal implications of the case. It's really evoking strong and conflicting response. Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, so I want to give everybody the background on this. We're talking about this viral video where Chief Joel Fitzgerald now says Officer William Martin committed several violations. So he says he was rude. He says he neglected his duty in terms of the way that he handled these three women. He said that it was inappropriate, but still we're learning 10 days. They're not paid days, but still, what was your reaction when you heard that?
Not a surprise. Unfortunately, it's so extremely hard to have any police officers charged, and I'm disappointed in what the police chief made a decision about in terms of giving him a 10-day suspension. I do believe that his actions that day went totally beyond being rude and disrespectful, as the police chief described.
Yes. Yeah, be more specific in terms of what you think he went above and beyond.
Well, you have a mother who is concerned about her son potentially being assaulted by a neighbor. So what she does is she calls 911. She did something that she was supposed to do.
Well, and we've learned that it was actually the neighbor that called 911 initially.
Initially, but she also made calls as well.
Sure.
So she waited for the officer to appear. She found out that the neighbor actually did call, so she waited. She called 911 to see what the delay was. So instead of going over and taking the matter into her own hands and talking to the neighbor herself, she waited for this officer who was supposed to be unbiased, impartial, fair, and that was not the case when he appeared. He pretty much asked her why she didn't teach her son not to litter and why it wasn't okay for the neighbor to touch her child, and that's ridiculous.
And so the police chief has said, okay, this was inappropriate behavior, and also that he should have taken down a report. He should have taken a report from that mom.
Correct.
Still, he's made this decision. But what we also know moving forward is this is not the end of this.
No.
A grand jury is going to review the entire case. You've got to decide if Craig, if the daughters, if the neighbor, if the officer, if any of them should face any charges. And I know you believe that the Fort Worth Police Department should have waited until after that happened.
Well, number one, I think the daughter, because one of the daughters is a juvenile, so her case is going to be handled in juvenile court. So one of the daughters, the adult daughter and the mother, their cases shouldn't even be going to the grand jury. The cases should be dropped. The charges should be dropped because the officer made an arrest without any probable cause.
Resisting arrest, by the way, are the charges.
Well, they resisted because an arrest should have never been made. An arrest that day should have been made for the neighbor. There was probable cause to believe because the neighbor admitted that he actually did touch the son. So that was probable cause in and of itself to arrest the neighbor. Why arrest the mom and daughter? But their cases will be going to the grand jury, and hopefully there'll be no build, meaning the grand jury won't charge them with any crimes. But the officer is going to be reviewed, and the neighbor is going to be reviewed as well by the grand jury. Now, the officer, the decision to suspend him for 10 days, I think will have an impact on the jury's decision, the grand jury's decision, on whether they're going to charge him with an offense. And I think that that is unfair.
That's why you wish they would have, the Fort Worth Police Department would have waited.
Yeah.
Looking at the other side, would it have looked like, hey, they're not even doing anything if the Fort Worth Police Department waited for any sort of, punishment or something like that?
Possibly, but I mean, there's been some criticism that the investigation has been rushed as well. So, I mean, if they would have just waited for the grand jury to make a decision, then I would have respected the grand jury's decision more than them being influenced by the decision to keep him on as an officer.
It's a story we will continue to cover, and thank you so much for the legal insight. We appreciate it.